very pleased to be here. As I said before, I have family here, so it's nice to visit them. But I also have a kinship with the desert. I'm from the Mojave Desert originally, so I just love it out here. And no, truly, there's something very spiritual and cool and creative about being in the desert, so I really appreciate it. And I've been traveling for about a month now, so I've been in Costa Rica and Nicaragua and Montana and South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and so it's nice to be somewhere that feels a little homey. I'd love to go back to my home at this moment because I'm a little tired of traveling, but it's nice to be somewhere home-like. So, as Larry said, I'll be talking about morning pages and forming a daily writing practice. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. If you can't, just say, speak up, young one, and I will speak up. Before that, though, does everyone have a raffle ticket?
Yes.
Okay. If you do not have a raffle ticket, let me know. So I'll be raffling some books off, and also a tote bag from Writers Inc. Brian, can you hit the next slide for me? Thank you. So as Larry said, I'm Kristen, and I'm from San Diego Writers Inc. Our group is kind of similar to your group, but I'll spell out some specifics, especially if you want to come out to San Diego and visit us. I would love, love, love that. So San Diego Writers Inc., it's been around in one version or another for about 20 years now. We've been San Diego Writers Inc. officially for about 12 years, and I've been there for about 4.5 years. We give several classes, so when I first started there, we were giving maybe 2 classes a month, and I came in and said, we can do better. And we do about 35 classes a month there now. We have 10 reading critiques. That's also up from 2 reading critiques that meet weekly and workshop pages. We have 4 drop-in writing prompt groups, so writing practice groups, which I'm a big advocate of, and which I'll talk about a little bit later with morning pages and the other writing practice tips. And we also open up our space so that our members and non-members can come in and write weekly. We do that. We have an anthology, which we publish annually. We're on our 10th anthology. And spoiler alert, those are the things that I'll be raffling off at the end. I have 4 anthologies, so you can read some of our best work from San Diego. There's some really great stories in there, and they're beautiful, and I love them. In addition to that, we also hold a conference in October. It's a little bit different from your conference in that it really is a chance for our instructors to showcase their classes. So they're 2-hour just mini classes. They all volunteer their time, so it's a fundraiser for us, and it's a really good time. So if you're out there in October or next October, it's a lot of fun, and it gives you a piece of the pie for us. In addition to that, we also have a Sisters in Crime chapter. We have a book club. We offer several readings per month. The Women's Museum is downstairs for us, so we have women authors that come in and speak. We're doing a Edgar Allan Poe event, which will just be a fun community building event. So we do a lot of fun things out there. And at the end of this also, with the raffle, I'll give you a code for $10 off a class if you do want to come out and see us. So it'll be a nice little vacation and trip. In addition to that, Larry mentioned I'm a performer. I've been doing theater for about 25 years now, singing, acting, producing, directing, all that sort of stuff. So that is another one of my loves. I do theater reviews in town, so I'm very deeply entrenched in that community. And I do some other freelance writing, editing, and I teach the artist way, which is what we're here to talk about today. Brian, slide please. You. But I want to know a little bit about you first. So who's familiar, first of all, with the concept of morning pages? Perfect. Who actually does said morning pages? Okay, even less. All right, beautiful. That's okay. Maybe I'll convince you to restart that today. Maybe I won't, and you'll do another writing practice. Maybe you'll do none of those things, and you'll just listen to me speak, and you'll win something, and you'll be excited anyhow. Who does another type of writing practice? And by that I mean not that you work on your novel every day, but that does some sort of writing practice. Okay, perfect. And if it's something that we're not mentioning, I'd love, love, love to hear about it. And I'd actually love to hear from you later on about your experiences with morning pages and things like that. Next slide, please. Actually, before I go on to that, if you don't engage in a writing practice, I'm interested to hear why not? No judgment, just why not? Not everyone at once, please. Please, you're overwhelmed. Please. Yes.
Because I write at least 3,000 words a day for my job with Lockheed Martin.
Okay, yeah, I hear that a lot, so that makes sense. That sounds very important. So, who else? Procrastination, okay, perfect. And I hear that a lot with time, and I have that problem too, and I have some very simple tips, but they're actually very effective. So maybe you'll try one of those out today. Yeah?
I'm suffering from retirement, so I have a very irregular schedule. I never know what day is different from the next, so I never know. I can't set aside a time.
I feel for you, sir. I just... What a horrible problem. Okay, well, we'll try to get you a little more regimented. I'm sorry you're suffering, but yeah, we'll try to correct that. Yeah.
When I do them, it's actually so helpful that I forget how much it helps. So it starts to help, and it's like I feel great.
Yeah, I'm done now. Yeah. I'm recovered. Cool. Okay, I hear that too. Yeah.
I have a problem with the word morning. And when I start off the day, the first thing I do is check my social media, most of which is writing related. And I could spend an hour and a half, 2 hours just working in that realm.
Yeah.
So that the pages are afternoon.
Okay. And I'm okay with that. I'm kind of a rule breaker here, so I'm okay with that. And so we talked a little bit about not doing them in the morning. There's also something that I talk about later if you are into technology called I think it's a Pomodoro timer. I have to look that up. It's something, but it'll help you harness that to do some writing and give yourself some breaks and things like that.
One thing, there's a point in the day when you're not quite awake. When I find I'm really creative, so I keep a notebook by the bed and write things out and then go back to sleep.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if maybe we can find some ways for you to do morning pages or shift them to the afternoon, but hopefully you'll get something that you can take from here. Yeah?
I have a question.
Sure.
I studied a book from the library, and I believe the name was Artist's Way Morning Pages.
Okay.
Yours is available in the library?
Yes, the artist, and it's not mine, it's Julia Cameron's, who I'll actually talk about in a little bit, but her books are everywhere. It's a great book. And she does have a specific morning pages book, so that may be the one that you're referencing. This one, yeah.
I work a lot for my dreams, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and like Tim have to write some things down because, when morning comes, you still have some of the feelings, but you forget the details.
That's actually one of the 15 other journaling techniques that I mentioned that is really effective, is writing down your dreams. And really, I'll give you some of the benefits of morning pages, but it's really to unblock and to tap into some of these better ideas. So that's definitely an effective way to do that. Yeah.
When I was working full-time, one time, really was at night, and I started just writing 5 minutes. And that was the most relaxed time, and I tend to be a night person, so my finish was really tired. But on the other hand, in the morning I focus on my reading.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about some of the reasons that she recommends you write in the morning. Again, I think if you want to do it, just do it at any time of the day. It's better than not doing it at all. So I'm up for negotiation. So anybody else? Great. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good reasons. So hopefully today you will be introduced or reintroduced to the Artist Way and the morning pages. I'll give you some benefits of morning pages, which are very, very simple to do. But I kind of liken, I'm not the publishing talk, I'm not teaching you how to blog, I'm really the fitness portion, because it's really about getting you fit and in shape for the actual writing. So people are saying, yeah, I'm Kristen, yeah, my morning page is blah, blah, blah. It's really important. It's a lot more important than you think. Who here can write on command and write something great every single time? That's awesome. Maybe I'm not for you, but most of us can. Most of us, are trying to tap the well constantly for new and good, fresh ideas. So I think you'll like some of this. So I'll talk about some of the other writing practices that I talked about. I have 15 kind of different ways that differ substantially from morning pages. Those ideas, and then plus a raffle. Yay! All right, Brian, could you change the slide for me? Okay, so the artist way. We talked about who knows morning pages. Who is familiar with the artist way? Okay, so several of you. Great. Have any of you taken the 12-week course that's associated with it? Wonderful. How did that go? Was that beneficial?
Great.
Yeah.
My tombstone is going to read, she had a sense of humor.
I actually got to see her in New York a couple months ago. I had a 2-day intensive, and she's a funny lady. She's great. She's just a wealth of knowledge and a straight shooter, and she's great. Good. Yeah.
I can't make it through week 4.
No?
No.
Huh.
No.
But do you have any ideas of why that might be?
It's like the do not read.
Oh, reading deprivation.
I can't do that.
Yeah, that's very, very difficult. Okay, that's understandable. So there's a part in The Artist's Way where you undergo reading deprivation, and she wrote this in the early 90s, so it was just reading deprivation. When I teach the class with my creative partner, we extend that to social media, emails, things like that. And that's really hard for creative people, especially those of us that are writers are also avid readers, so we feel like we're not stocking the well, when in turn we're actually, she asks you to do that for a week to try to seek inspiration from elsewhere. So I can understand why you're resistant. It's very hard for me as well. I'm a compulsive texter and Facebooker and all of that sort of stuff. But The Artist's Way, as I said, for those of you that don't know or just refreshing your memory, is a book by Julia Cameron. Julia Cameron, she was a screenwriter originally, and she found herself after the age of 30 with a really bad drinking problem. And so she had to do something about her drinking problem, but she was afraid that it would make her less creative. So she really started tapping into the realm of creativity, and that's why she accesses a higher power. It's a spiritual path. Sometimes that's a hang-up with some people, but when we're teaching the course, we say, get past the God stuff, get past all that sort of stuff if it doesn't appeal to you. Just maybe try on that there is a higher power, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, that maybe divinely, innately wants you to create. So, try that on if you'd like. And it right back if you don't. But she has gone on to write a ton of books about creativity. And she received one day while she was walking what she calls marching orders. And she was instructed by a divine power to teach creativity and to write The Artist's Way. So one of the bedrock things about The Artist's Way, she says everyone is creative. Doesn't matter who it is. A lot of people struggle with that also. There are creatives and then there are non-creatives, right? She says everyone is creative in their own way. And so it's become the preeminent book on unblocking. And if you decide to take the course later on, no pressure. Today we do the mini condensed version of this. We start with a creativity map, which kind of shows you where you've been, where you are now, where you're going. And then we do some of the unblocking techniques. I'll check in with you and change every class according to who's in there. Usually we go with some childhood unblocking because that seems to be the most useful place to start. And then we'll talk about some steps that you can take today to goal set and do some things to help your novel, help your creative project, all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested, come see me later. So that is The Artist's Way. Will you switch for me, Brian? So let me tell you a little bit about my path with The Artist's Way. And I'm not someone who loves to talk about personal stuff, so I'm always a little, but it'll just give you an idea of why I'm so passionate about The Artist's Way. So for about 10 years, I was a magazine editor, mostly fluffy entertainment journalism. People like Kim Kardashian, Taylor Swift, all these silly people I would interview. And, it was fun, but it wasn't very creatively fulfilling for me at the end of the day. And I was working from home for another internet magazine at the time, living in San Diego. I'd just moved there a while before for grad school and for a boy. And I was living there creatively unfulfilled. My father had dementia at the time, and he lived up in North LA County. And so I was searching for months and months and months to try to find a home for him down there. And so searching for months and months and months with the boy who was my fiance at the time, and finally found a beautiful home, and as life had it, moved him into the beautiful home, and the next day he passed away. And then a few months later, my fiance and I split up, known each other for 20 some odd years. So I was kind of in a hard place spiritually and a hard place with my creativity. So I was really looking for something to feed the well and to help me stay sane, quite frankly. So I stumbled upon both Writers Inc. and The Artist's Way around the same time. And I took this 12-week course, and it honestly did wonders for me. It forced me to explore a lot of these issues. It really gave me a sense. One of the things I love about Artist's Way is it reclaims the joy in your life. It's all about harnessing, doing good things for you in your life, and that's okay. I went to Catholic school my entire life. I love the Catholic Church, but it's not always about joy there. It's about doing things for others and things like that. So this concept of doing things for me was very fresh and interesting and lovely, and it was nice to see that both could coexist together. So that's kind of my journey with the Artist's Way and why I'm so passionate about it. And now that I've been teaching it for the last several years, I've seen people just make these amazing transformations. I've seen people go on to write screenplays and to just go on to do some amazing, start painting again. I had a classical guitarist in my group who had not touched her guitar in 15 years. She picked up the guitar again. She's playing regularly now. It's just been an amazing gift to see people do that in their lives. So that's why I'm passionate about it. Did you get the next slide? Thank you. So where am I at? Okay. So she has two main tools in the Artist's Way, one of which being the morning pages, and another which I won't cover here, but I'll cover in a class called the Artist Date, which is a lot of fun. So the bedrock tool of creative recovery is a daily practice called morning pages. Now Julia came upon this practice actually here, which is cool that we're doing this in New Mexico. Is it Taos Mountain? Is that how you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's how I've been saying it for years, never quite sure if that's correct. So she was living near there, and she'd just come from LA, and as I said, she's a screenwriter. So she was doing a bunch of different films, and this particular one was for John Voight, and he'd given the project a green light and then kind of taken it back. And so she was upset professionally about that. Personally, she was undergoing a divorce, and she had her small child with her who was not happy about moving to New Mexico. She mentions that she even gave her daughter a pony, and nothing could just soften this poor child. So she would wake up every morning, and she would look out her window, and Taos Mountain was right there. And she would basically get up early, as she says, to get over the negative cloud of this child in her house that just didn't want to be there any longer. And she would look out the window, and she would just write. And she started writing these 3 pages every day, and she started to just talk about the mountain. What was the weather like on the mountain? Who are some of the people that maybe were traversing this mountain? Just talking about the mountain, which is kind of cool because in San Diego, I live by a mountain, and I look out and I look at Cowles Mountain, or Coles as the local people call it, and talk about the mountain. And so she would do that for days and days and days, and finally characters started to emerge. And she started to talk about a woman named Johnny, and that went on to be a novel. And so that's kind of her origins, and it's kind of cool that it originated here. Next slide, Brian. So the method. Like I said, it's a very simplistic method, but it really, as Rob was saying earlier with SouthWest writers, the stuff really works. This stuff really works. So it's 3 pages, longhand, stream of consciousness, which will differ very much from the other practices that I'm talking about later, and yes, in the morning. So 3 pages she recommends because she says that any more, you're not going to keep yourself engaged. She wants you to keep coming back for more to make these revelations day after day after day. And she says that 2 isn't enough. Some people I know do the 2 pages of stream of consciousness and then they plan out their day with a 3rd page. I tend to do that, so that's how I work that. Longhand as opposed to the computer. The reason that she says to use longhand is because using the computer is like going 85 miles per hour in the car. So you're driving along, you know, typing on your computer, and oops, there goes my exit. If you're writing longhand, she likens it to going 35 miles per hour. So, oh, there's my exit. Oh, there's a convenience store. Oh, there's a cute guy at the convenience store. Oh, there's flowers over here. Oh, there's a meadow. She likens that to the writing, that sometimes you're just on the computer and you're going, and you're going to miss your turnoff. You miss some of these kind of creative avenues that are created when you're just writing freehand. And then stream of consciousness. So many times this starts with people that are resistant to this. I hate writing my morning pages. This is pointless. I can't stand doing this. And then they delve after a while into discussing problems and characters emerge and all sorts of different things. But I'll get into that. And yes, the morning. And the reason that she advocates for the morning is because she says that your ego is the thinnest then. And you're more likely to come up with some of your better stuff then. Your ego and your censor really gets in the way of some of this important stuff. So what they're not high art at all. They're not even writing, really. They're not about writing, necessarily. I like to do them on unlined paper because I don't like to stick to the lines and the format. You can really let some of your creativity emerge, and some of us doodle and things like that. So not on lined paper. It's not for others. Nobody ever sees this but you. And it's not necessarily to keep. So several years ago, Julia wrote a memoir. And so people said, you know, oh, great that you've written all these morning pages your entire life. You can go back to them. She's like, I didn't reference them once. I didn't look at them. I don't touch them. They're in Santa Fe in a storage unit. I don't look back. But she said that the process of doing them was really instructive in her writing her memoir. That helped bring out a lot in her. All right. So the madness, the why. So the idea generator. And this is essentially why you do this, to generate ideas. So there was a cool study that was done about why this is effective, making yourself write. Because morning pages is something that you do every day without fail. And before the study, I'll go on kind of a tangent too. I read something recently about Jerry Seinfeld and his method of productivity. And basically, he says, you know, to be a better comic, I have to write better jokes. To write better jokes, I have to write. And so he has a big calendar up on his wall, and he marks off the days, and he writes every day without fail. That's his productivity method. Forced writing, there's a study, the Voice study, and there were 27 faculty members that wanted to be more productive and write more. And so they were split into 3 groups. The first group was abstinent writers, so they would write only if they were compelled to write. And they would keep a log of ideas if they came up. So the result was that they wrote 0.2 pages a day and less than or about 1 creative idea. The second group that he had were spontaneous writers. So these are people that had committed loosely to these writing sessions 5 times a week, and they would also keep an idea log. So these people, they found, did about 0.9 pages a day, not bad, and about 1 creative idea. The third group were the forced writers. And the forced writers actually committed to these 5 writing sessions, and they kept a log of creative ideas. And to make sure that they wrote out a bunch of $25 checks to organizations they despised. And so the moderator would send in the check every day if they did not write. These people every day came up with about 4 pages daily, and they had ideas galore. So I think as writers, we always have this notion of, oh, I'll write when, when lightning strikes, when I feel inspiration come to me. And that's not necessarily the case. There are other studies like this, but I really like this one because of the $25 thing. So, all right, ideas galore. Also, to be a writer, you must write. I give a prompt writing session at a library out east, and that's one of the bedrocks of that, is that to be a writer, you must write. Pretty simple. You can use it as a warm-up. Go back to my analogy about training for, say, the marathon. This is different than your writing that you do each day. This is so that you become a more productive writer. So if you were gearing up for that marathon, you might be lifting weights, you might be eating more healthy, you might be, as some Olympic athletes do, training yourself to run the marathon in your mind and using those muscle groups. So think about this as that. It definitely reduces anxiety because you're getting a lot out cathartically on the page. You have a renewed sense of organization and focus, especially if you use that technique that I talked about planning out your day. F your censor is something that I see a lot in writing groups, and it's true. You get rid of your censor. Your censor is always there lurking, judging, and after a while with the morning pages, you just say, I see you, and it's time to go away. Julia has named her censor. His name is Nigel, and he's a bitchy gay man. Her words, not mine. So she just politely says, Nigel, I hear you, and I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to move past you. And I think that's hard to do as writers. We're constantly judging ourselves that this is not good enough. Next slide. Oh no. Okay. You definitely quiet the mind. Oh, back. Yep. Quiet the mind, which equals better sleep. Anyone else have trouble sleeping? I have a lot of trouble sleeping. So this is very good. I actually notice that when I do morning pages, it quiets the mind. Social psychologists swear by this. They say that if you're using journaling in any form to talk about some of the emotional burdens that you have, that it actually regenerates cells, that it leads to better sleep, that it improves your immune system. So scientifically, again, this is the way to go. We talked about longhand versus computer brain. You tend to make connections where there were none before, and you start to tap the ceiling. So what I mean by that is Julia, when I went to go see her in New York, gave this great analogy about morning pages and tapping the ceiling. And she said she was teaching in Chicago, and she was teaching every week in this place with a very low tin ceiling. And she was injured at the time, so she had a cane. And one day she came in there and she was looking at the flimsy stuff, and she kind of poked up there with the cane. And she saw that above this low-lying ceiling, there was all this space above. And so she likens morning pages to, one day you're writing, and all of a sudden you just tap, and you've uncovered all of this stuff, whether it's stuff from the past or creative ideas or things like that. So I thought that was a very cool analogy. Next slide. So here are some tips and extras for doing morning pages. Have I turned anyone off to morning pages so far? Or you're just like, this is absolutely not for me, Kristen, I'm out of here, I'm just being polite. Okay. So, tips, extras. Date the page if you'd like to reference them later. Some people like to write an affirmation or a writer's statement at the top. So, I am the best mystery writer in the entire world, and then they write their morning pages. No joke. Lots of people, particularly in online communities, swear by this. And I understand it puts you in a good space. And we may, if we have time today in the workshop, do a little with affirmations. This is the ritual. So, has anyone been a smoker? Know about triggers and things like that? Yeah. Someone advocating in the back heartily for the nicotine. All right. So those that have tried to quit smoking or alcohol or something else know about a trigger, right? So maybe it's your cup of coffee in the morning, or it's alcohol, or it's the bus going away as the kids are going away, and that triggers you to want to smoke. Same way, if you'd like to do a morning practice, you should discover what your triggers are. For me, it's a good cup of coffee. It's this one Pandora station that I put on lightly in the background, and it's sitting by the mountain. So again, with Artist's Way, it's really a sense of reclaiming you and joy and just making this as pleasant a process as possible. So creating a ritual associated with it helps. This is where I break the rules. Anytime pages. We call them anytime pages in our class because we just have some defiant people who will not do them in the morning. So if you must do them at any time, do them at any time. If you're just more awake in the evening, I completely understand. Other times to do them if you have a meal by yourself. Do them in line somewhere, in line pages. Another good way to tackle this is collaboratively. So we had an Artist's Way group that just really, really hit it off. And they loved me and my creative partner, Lydia, but they were just after the 12 weeks, they were done with us, they were ready to move on, and they meet weekly. I think it was for the last 6 months now without us. And they do their morning pages together, and they're accountable to each other in that way. So doing them collaboratively in a group, not sharing them, but doing them in the same space, or having someone maybe here that you call up and say, hey, I've done my morning pages, have you done your morning pages, is really effective. Feel the burn. I'm not advocating for any candidate here. I'm saying that they don't have to be memoir again, so they're not necessarily to be used later. So many people burn their pages afterwards. And for writers, I mean, that feels very, you know, I just created this. But they're really not about high art or creation. So if you have people in your life that you don't want to read the pages, feel free to burn them. People do that all the time. The act is not saving them or keeping them. They're not necessarily a keepsake journal like that. And then rereading your pages. So many of us do reread our pages. And there's a method to do this. So in the course, you would do so after 6 weeks. And if I'm going too fast here also, I'm going to send this to you, and you can use some of the information. I have links later on in this presentation. So don't worry about writing absolutely everything down. I'll send that to Larry for you guys. So rereading the pages, you want to take 2 highlighters, and about 6 to 8 weeks in, and you can use the one highlighter for aha moments, things in your life that occur to you. So, you know, I need to get out of that relationship, you know, whatever it may be. And then the other one are action items, so things that you would like to do, you know. I really want to take a flamenco dance class, you know, I want to go do that. For me, it was scary improv. I always thought that was the most terrifying thing in the entire world. And I'm in my second 7-week session of it, and it's the best thing I've ever done. It's so frightening and terrifying, but every class I'm just, you know, I feel so accomplished. So you'll discover things like that in your morning pages. I really want to do X. Next, please. So actually, let's back it up for a second. Does anybody have questions about any of that? I know I just rattled off a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. So, reasons, you can actually go to the next page, Brian, thanks. So some people, I've heard the procrastinators and people that say that they don't have time for morning pages. And really, I think if you're a writer, you don't have time not to. You really should be emptying your brain of all this gobbledygook. I promise you it will make you a stronger writer, and it will make you more creative, and it will reduce your anxiety, and you will sleep better. It sounds like such a simplistic tool, but I promise you, if you just try them for a couple weeks or so, it really does make a difference in your life. And it's also a habit that you're making, and it helps you to create other healthy habits in your life. So it's very cyclical like that. So these are very simple, time and pages. I had to get up an extra half hour to do so, and that's what I do to make this work. You can also do the trade-off. So maybe there is a program on TV that you watch habitually. Maybe try trading it off and doing it in that time slot. There's also the reward. So my reward, actually, because I'm not always great about doing morning pages, but I love when I do them, is I'm like a 2 or 3 cup of coffee person in the morning. So I get the good creamer once I've finished my pages. That's my reward. Black and dark and sinister, and then it becomes something beautiful once I'm done with my pages. So that's a good reward maybe to have. You can choose your own. Delegation. I'm sure that many of us, with spouses, with people that we live with, that we care about, if there's something that we can put on their page so that we can get a few extra minutes, I'm sure most of the lovely people in our lives will say, absolutely, I will take that off your plate. So that's just another idea, is to slough something off to someone else so that you can do your morning pages. A lot of people with kids have had to do this trade-off with people to try to be able to do this and not have the kids in their face all morning. And then less is more. If you have to do 1 page a day, you have to do 1 page a day. If you do 2 pages a day, you do 2 pages a day. Great, you're on your way to a successful habit. I advocate for 3, but do what you can. All right, next. So that being said, you said, Kristen, this is too simple for me, I hate this, I can't stand this, show me something else. I'm just advocating for you to pick up a writing practice. I don't care what it is. I really believe that it will make you a stronger writer and you'll become more creative from it. So these first 3 are actually ways to use your morning pages to overcome problems in your life. So the first one is the 4 questions pages. And these are actually questions that Julia advocates for. So she says if you have a problem that you keep coming up to in morning pages or in your journaling practices over and over again, look at the issue and ask yourself these 4 questions. What do I need to know? What do I need to try? What do I need to accept? And what do I need to do? Artist Way is great because it's very action-oriented. She actually says to do, if you have a meditation practice, to do your meditation practice later and do your morning pages first. I can't do anything with my left hand, so maybe you can, and maybe that's good for you, but it definitely does flex a different part of the brain, and it does cause you to write less, so I'll say that. Prompt pages I'm a huge fan of. I've left you some prompts back there. There are at least 100 prompts in there, so there is a prompt for everybody back there. When I'm stuck, I definitely take a prompt and I go with it from there. Whether the prompt is generating something personal or it's giving me an avenue to explore a story, a character, something like that. Love, love, love prompt pages. Another thing that you can do if you're just trying to flex your muscles or you're really trying to choose a genre or something like that is to do what I call the 4 types of writing pages. So, does anyone know what the 4 types of writing are? Super bonus points? No, it's fine. So, expository writing, so to inform and explain. Persuasive writing, which is opinion. Narrative, which is to tell a story, and then your narrative because of X, but you're really missing a tactile quality in your writing that I think could really make it rich and beautiful. Try to do that in your morning pages the next day and really just talk about the things that you're experiencing with touch. So that's one way to do it. Also, if you're trying to get a handle on a character that you're working on, someone else's pages might work for you. This is writing your morning pages as if you were that character. So that might be helpful. Someone mentioned dream pages. This is another thing that you can do, catalog your dreams. And these should all just help you generate some inspiration in your writing, hopefully. Some things to try on. Another is reader pages, so that's essentially journaling, taking from the books that you've read. This is also great if you're working on something and not just writing like a book review about it, but I really admire the point of view in this book because this, or the exposition was really straight on because of these things. And it's really a good reminder because I think we forget as writers what we're missing some of the time. That's a good thing to do and to look back on. Another is nature pages. It kind of goes along with a sensory exploration, but taking a walk. Julie advocates for gratitude walks in one of her later books. So that's a good tool that you can use. Going on a nature walk and then writing. Another one is a vocabulary journal, taking some words that you see there out there in the universe and cataloging those for later. Or recipe pages if you want to write about recipes. And then the last one is action cards. And some people advocate for this. So they have 2 or 3 sets of cards. They write their morning pages, and then they have a bigger action plan on one, and then they break up the steps weekly and then daily. So that's that. Anyone have questions about any of those? Great. Okay, next one. So technology in Pages. So I put 4 apps and 1 website on here to help you if you're interested in any of that. The index card app goes straight into that action card solution to morning pages that I just talked about. So it's an app and it has index cards on there so that you can actually catalog your index cards in your phone and you can keep that all mobile. The Beautiful Tarot app I really like because I'm into prompt writing, as I said, and tarot is a new big thing. I've probably had 5 people pitch me a tarot prompt writing course, so I'm just assuming that that's a big thing now. But tarot cards are very cool to use as prompts for your writing. And they are beautiful. They're beautiful tarot, it doesn't lie. The Pomodoro timer I talked about, and it's a way of writing, so you can set the timer, and the science behind that is that if you give yourself breaks in between, it helps free up your space for writing and put some other duties on until later. So the chronic Facebookers and things like that, or a book that you're really involved in, you'll set it to write for say 25 minutes, you'll get a 5-minute break, you'll write again for 10 minutes, and then it'll give you another break. So this is a really good thing to use not only for writing practice, but if you're writing, say, your novel and things like that, you want these choreographed breaks throughout the day. And there's Pomodoro timers all over the place. I'm sure you can find free ones somewhere too. The Brainstormer is really cool, not just for writing practice, but if you're writing a piece of work. It's kind of like a wheel that you spin, and they give you different character names and plots and setting descriptions and all sorts of different stuff. So it's great if you're trying on short stories or you just want to try something else on for a prompt. And then the 750 words website is free and is directly keyed into morning pages. So 750 words is roughly 3 pages. This you do put into a computer or device like that, so it's slightly off the mark. But it's a fun exercise to try because it gives you stats about your morning pages. So it will analyze your words and attribute an emotion or a theme to it, which is really interesting. It will catalog your speed, so how long it takes you to do 750 words. It has all sorts of different statistics, which is kind of fun. All right, next page. So again, I'll send this off. These aren't morning pages per se, but these are fun things to start to cultivate a daily practice. So the sketch a day, not morning pages, but sketching daily. Listography is really fun. It's just a book that you can use to create lists with and untap some activity. There's also an app for that. And then the Do One Thing Every Day That Inspires You. It's a book that has quotations and places in the margins that you can write notes and journal yourself. So I really like that book. And then additional resources. So Morning Pages, the almost true story of my life. There are a ton of accounts of people doing countless things with morning pages online. People that have left their husbands, people that have written the next great American novel, all sorts of things. This is just one example, someone that wrote a book about his experience with morning pages. Someone was talking about the Artist Way Morning Pages journal. That's probably what you found, what you may have seen in the library if it wasn't the Artist Way specifically. And then the Miracle of Morning Pages is I think a $2.99 download that you can find, and Julie Cameron answers a lot of the questions with morning pages. All right.